We're going to talk about planetary herbology today and the roots of planetary herbology. An idea that came to me as I was trying to figure out what am I going to do with all of this different knowledge of herbal medicine that I picked up from so many different sources along my path. It all seemed so important and so relevant to me that I couldn't ever really abandon one completely for the other. Beginning with Western herbalism, which is where I started as a Western herbalist, living in the mountains of Northern California. Our first concern, since I was living in a commune there, was finding ways to treat ourselves and to create an alternative, both in terms of our lifestyle, in terms of our food, and of course in terms of our medicine. The place was Black Bear Ranch, and that's where I lived for 4 or 5 years. And at that time, we didn't realize that we were actually creating at that place a tremendous movement and healing that spurred on the entire organic gardening movement, the midwifery movement, and also acupuncture and herbal medicine. Not that we were the only ones doing it, but we certainly were at the forefront of doing it completely unsuspectingly, because we were basically doing it to take care of ourselves and our family, of extended family at that point. Black Bear included anywhere from 30 to 150 people. And then besides that, we had networkings of communes throughout Northern California and even up into Chicago. People who had left Haight-Ashbury and were again trying to pursue our own lifestyle. So in the process of that, my first infatuation was with the native plants of the Northern California woods, and I just had no idea that it would ever turn into a medicine. It was just something that just totally pulled me, that I had to do it. It's sometimes some people get up in the morning, they say, I'm going to be an herbalist, and I think there are herbs that get up and say, I think I'm going to find me an herbalist. And I think I'm one of those cases of the herbs having found an herbalist, an unsuspecting Italian who grew up in the city of Southgate, California. It's a suburb of Los Angeles. So my first weaning was with Jethro Kloss, the only herb books around in those days, and another book by Myers called The Herbalist. Thumbing through those books, and we had an extensive collection of herbs in our medicine cabinet that I would just fumble through those things all day long. I'd take walks in the woods, and I'd bring back bundles full of herbs, and I'd go through the books because I didn't know anything about botany. I just try to identify an herb just strictly from its picture. It was a hard battle to learn about herbs in those days, and if I learned one herb in a day to identify it, and even lo and behold that it had an actual use, that you could either eat it or use it for medicine, I was totally enthralled and just totally blown away, and I could hardly find a wait for some poor unsuspecting other person in the commune to foist my sometimes rather strong bitter brews on them to see how it would work. There are some stories about that as well, but to get on with it, I sought out the Native Americans of that area, who were the Kerock Indians, and I went to them to try to seek whatever knowledge they had about native plants, and they told me about one particular plant, which was their big medicine, called kishwoof, that grows in the mountains of that area, and it's a species of lovage, and they said that they used it during the 1918 influenza, and in Northern California and Oregon, the people who used that had the lowest incidence of deaths and serious repercussions from that devastating flu. And as it turned out, the natives forgot a lot of their herbal medicine, but they learned to make the most out of a few. And Oregon grape was one that they really used a great deal, and also Pipsissewa, princess pine. These two herbs are very abundant in the mountains of Northern California, and they were used for a wide variety of things. They were used for arthritis and rheumatism, and for cancer and all kinds of serious diseases. Basically, just the combination of Oregon grape and Pipsissewa together was just something that people would drink regularly for serious diseases. And then I sought out some teachers because I wanted to find out, well, okay, I've learned this much, where do I go next? And heard of a herbalist, a woman who was teaching in Vancouver, and only herbalist in the country that I heard was actually teaching anything a woman named Norma Myers, a great herbalist, really. So I was able to drive up there and study with her, except when I got there, she was presenting Dr. Christopher. And that's where I hooked up with this fabulous man, a real character from the old times, so to speak. When you look at him, he just looks like the benevolent old-time doctor. And he was an incredible herbalist. And he was an incredible spokesman for herbs, because he might have been the only voice in those days in all of North America who was speaking up about herbs. And he had some stories to tell that are mind-boggling. And even if half of them were true, as he told them, I think there's always a tendency to exaggerate. Even if half of them were true, it was still an incredible experience working with him.